got a video here of some pretty extreme cases of things that admin have asked teachers to do. I want us to watch it and then we can just talk. So
my admin told me to pass a student with a 23% average because otherwise he said it negates what the student did learn. Negates what he did learn. He has a 23%. He didn't learn nothing. He didn't do 77% of the work. Pass a student with a 23%. I don't know if you know, but that math ain't mathing right. Y'all set these kids up for failure. Hope baby gonna get a job when he get older and not go to work and wonder why he not getting paid. You don't get paid if you don't do your job, and you don't pass if you don't do your work. Can we get a correlation here, please?
There are a lot of teachers that have experienced a principal telling them, like, I know he failed the class, but let's give him a D at least so that he doesn't fail the class.
Well, I honestly cannot speak to that one because I have not experienced it. And I don't think, well, maybe it's because of who I am. I have not experienced it. It could be that maybe somebody else on staff has. I don't know, but I don't think any principal will approach me and ask me to do it. I don't think so. I don't think so. Because number one, honestly, I would take it as an insult. You're actually asking me to do that because you're thinking that I'm going to do that?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, really? Why?
Yeah. No, and
What's on the line? His life or something?
Yeah. I think what it comes down to is like that whole idea of social emotional learning, and we need to think about their well-being and how they feel about school. And if I fail them, then they're going to give up and they're going to hate themselves. And
well, let's assess them differently. You understand? Let's assess them differently because sometimes they end up failing because of the nature of the assessment that we are giving them. So if we realize that this is happening and you know, it's like we're breaking down those children and whatever, let's discuss that. Don't ask me to just give the child a pass. Let's discuss what is happening. Let's discuss assessing the child differently, you know, and see. Because, okay, you're in school, you're spending time here, we're learning academics, and there are also other things that I can praise you for. So whereas you may suck at the math, you know, but you may be a child who takes initiatives. You may be a child, you know, who's quite disciplined and so on. So there can be an area where I could give you that boost, and I would be honest with you. You know, I would be telling the truth. And so on. Don't ask me to just up a grade.
No, and I think that's it. I think the thing we've got to look at, if a child only has a 23%, why does that child only have a 23% average? Simply increasing their grade, all that really does is teach that child that you don't have to do the work. You know, I'll say for myself, like I had an IEP going through school, and more or less what that meant for me is that if I didn't do my work, then my IEP would be adapted to make sure that it included I didn't have to do that work. And I mean, no kid likes to do their homework, right? We all kind of, when we're kids, we want to play, we want to watch TV, we don't want to sit through school all day. And so if you start to let a kid get out of their work, if you say we're just going to change the IEP, the mindset became for me that like, I don't have to do any work. If I don't do it, no one's going to make me. I'm still going to pass my classes. So realistically, like I got a high school diploma, but it was like just barely that I graduated from high school because I had this sense of like never opening a textbook, never reading, never studying, never putting in any effort. And things just sort of worked out for me because that IEP would always be changed to make sure that I passed my class regardless.
Interestingly, the whole idea of the IEP and all of that, this is something that is relatively new to us. Hey, the culture, both school and parents would be like, what? So what happened to the others? Aren't you all taught the same thing? You know, that kind of, it was a bit harsh. We know better. You understand what I'm saying? We know better. But it was a case of making you accountable.
Right.
You know? Not like, oh my goodness, so why didn't you? And no, nobody had time for that.
Right.
Nobody had time for that, especially if in our minds, okay, well, not just our minds, but you were not sick, you were not out sick, you know, You're in the class, you're playing more than the others when you're outside. So we figure, well, okay, you're okay.
Yeah.
You're fed at break time, you're fed at lunchtime, so we know you're not hungry.
Yeah.
You know, so for us, it's like, okay, we've crossed out hunger, illness, and whatever. What's left? You have no other excuse.
Yeah.
You know, it's like apply yourself and do what you have to do.
Exactly.
And it's almost like, well, at that time,
Yeah.
I mean, looking at it now,
Yeah.
you know, like I said, we can see that we were quite harsh, you know. But at that time, it was like you were telling that child, you know what? You have been given all what you need.
Yeah.
It's your turn now to give back.
Yeah.
You know, do something for yourself. Don't just sit and expect, you know. So then you had these children trying and whatever means, you know, whether it was forced out of them or whatever. But at least in their mind, it's like, okay, I have to do this. I don't have any excuse. Now we have so many things shielding them. Well, that may not be the right term, but you know, it's like, well, we know better now. Let me put it that way. We know better now.
Yeah.
So there is so much cushion
Yeah.
given to these children that the smart ones are actually taking advantage of that, like you
Right.
did.
Exactly.
You know?
There has to be a balance between
Yes.
it, because we certainly have a time in our history where we were just like you, like, this is just what you're supposed to do, deal with it. And then I think 1960s, maybe 1970s, we get idea, because there used to be a time in our school system where, like, if you had a disability or you weren't keeping up with the rest of the kids, the school could just say, we're not going to teach your child. Keep them at home. They can't come to school anymore.
Okay.
And then we pass idea because we say we need to be teaching the disabled children. And there is a point where we do need to, like, what is the problem and figure it out. But we don't want to go so far that we let what, I did happen, where there's no accountability. Like, my mom would ask me, did you try your best? I mean, the answer when your mom asks you that is yes, because if you say no, you're going to get in trouble. So I always said I tried my best, and that was the end of it. Like, there was no accountability to it.
Now I'm laughing at that, Mr. Blaine, because your mom would ask you, did you try your best? In our culture, I don't think it would be, did you try your best? Did you try? No, it wouldn't be that. It would be like, so what exactly is going on with you? You know, I mean, the teacher said you were in the class, you were being taught just like everybody else. Why can't you get it? What is the problem? What do I have to do to, it's not about you and trying to help you. It's about just blaming you for not getting this thing. You know, that's how it was.